Joining me now is Ajay Meyer from the Blue Lab. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So I'd like to start by asking if, with social media being so prominent during this election season, if social media campaigns managed to sway young voters, and if traditional advertising had the same effect.
Oh, definitely. They definitely have a huge impact on how young voters decide who to vote for. There's a big difference between traditional advertising and social media. In traditional advertising, the campaign really drives the message. They get to decide what images are on the screen, how the advertisement goes. But with social media, things are a bit more organic. It'll be one tweet, and then all of the voters, media, anyone else can respond to it and participate in the discussion. So in that, you see things go a little bit differently. For example, with Donald Trump's tweets, everyone sees how sometimes they're a little bit outrageous or 3 in the morning, and that says something to a voter in a way that's very different than just regular TV ad does. And at the same time, you can have then advertisements that go to young people in particular through Facebook that more young voters are going to see.
So with the specific nature of social media, do you think it really managed to reflect the candidates' campaigns?
I think that's a little bit tough because it's hard to talk about healthcare policy in 140 characters. So it really shows maybe the message that they want to come across or the message that the media wants to come across. So it creates a little bit of a superficial way of seeing the candidates rather than exactly how they really are.
So with this being said, do you think the way social media portrays the candidates gives the voters a little superficial understanding of who they are and their policies?
It does. In a lot of ways, it does, right? You don't know exactly, the ins and outs of their policies or the details of what they're saying because they can't really say that much in a Facebook post or a tweet. But it also does show you a little bit of the character of the person. When we all interact on social media, it says a lot about how we interact with other people. So if somebody's using Twitter in one way, Donald Trump is very, open about his use of Twitter versus Hillary Clinton, who it seems like it's more put together by a staff. So I think it's a little bit of an artificial or superficial way of seeing.
So what issues arise when political campaigns and social media converge?
I think a big thing is the lack of truth or facts. You can just put out a message on social media and there's no people who are going and fact-checking everything you say. Like if you were to say something in the New York Times, there will be a whole team of editors who make sure that what you're saying is accurate and true. But on Twitter or Facebook, there's no real fact checks for that. So you get some false information. You can have people with biases that easily enter into the media.
This election season, social media just plays a role of free and very effective advertising. How do you think this affected the campaigns?
Sure. Well, I think it's more so because social media is a really important aspect of how we all socialize, right? Most of us are on Facebook. Most of us are seeing all these things that happen. So the politicians, they have to enter that field. They have to have a presence on our social media because the whole elections haven't changed since 1800s. They're all just about candidates making a connection with the voter. If a candidate can make a connection with you and convince you to vote for them, then you'll vote for them. So social media is just now another tool that they have to make that connection with us.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.